How many economics books have you read? Give me your top 3.
All of them.
Give me your top 3.
I can't. I enjoy all of them equally. Whoa, wait, wait, hold on. Don't, because I don't want you to just go ahead and say a bunch of wrong things. This is pseudo-intellectualism at its height right now. Why not address what I've said? Wait, hold on. Calm down. You're very, oh my God, please. Please. I'm begging you. Please, this isn't a gotcha. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm trying to answer the damn question.
And technically, Vaush.
Sake, the 2 give tier 1 subs. Can we get the Oblivion NPC music for that debate on YouTube? Yeah, seriously. Fuck.
0% of you are subscribed. Fix that.
Hi.
Hello.
You hear me? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain.
I appreciate you hopping on.
Of course.
I watched your video on social justice, and I had a couple of questions, concerns that I wanted to talk about with you.
Okay.
The main issue being, at least with regards to the social justice video, it feels like you came into that with a fairly strong pre-existing ideological bias, and all the information you had on all the many subjects that you touched on in that video, you pulled them together to narrativize them into a story consistent with your pre-existing beliefs, you know? Like, you looked up at the stars and you wanted to see a dinosaur, and it didn't really matter what the stars looked like. You had to find the dinosaur in the constellation, you know what I mean? So there were like a bunch of pieces of info there that I think were contradictory or didn't fit together that well, and it gave me the impression altogether that you were inconsistently reactionary in ways I wanted to talk about.
I disagree. People get radicalized, and I think social justice is that radical. Social justice, I think, is a radical movement, and so my argument going into it was that social justice is radical.
So the term radical doesn't really have a consistent definition, but the way you use it suggests to me that you think it has a negative bent. You very specifically designate some types of social justice in your YouTube video as exempt from your criticism. Basically the civil rights movement and back before then, also environmentalism.
I'd like to cut you off there for a second, please.
Sure.
In your video, you said the civil rights movement and the abolitionist movement were descendants of are the ancestors of social justice, which is not true. Social justice is an entirely different historic chain that you see start in the 40s to the 90s, basically, the post-war period. And that's a long period, but it did take a bit of time to evolve. So
I'd like to challenge you on that.
Sorry?
How? The civil rights movement was in the 60s, of course,
finish.
so that would fit within that time range.
When you look at the logic of the modern social justice movement, it takes ideas that were invented by former Marxists in the post-war period. The idea that gender can be separated from sex, that's an idea that hasn't existed for any other period of history. And so the idea that gender is separate from sex, again, postmodernist idea from that period, from academia.
This is what I mean.
Finish.
Wait, hold on. Don't, because I don't want you to just go ahead and say a bunch of wrong things.
Yeah, no, but I'd
first
like to
of
get
all,
my point
the civil.
across, you cannot construct my argument properly unless you hear it.
Well, but so far the construction is faulty. The concrete is cracking. The civil rights movement was informed by Marxist ideas. Marx was around like it absolutely was. The basis of critical theory, the idea that you should analyze. Well, don't get indignant already. It certainly was. Marxist. Social analysis has been influencing philosophers and activists for well over a century, and the conceptualization of gender and sex being, as you say it, uniform until the past 50 years is completely ahistorical. There are entire modern civilizations that have had third genders, clearly not 3 sexes, 3 genders, for hundreds of years. That's just simply not true. But even if there were conceptualizations of modern social justice, which are a product of postmodernism exclusively, I wouldn't have an issue with that, you know? You'd have to demonstrate the harm done by those ideas.
So, for the first of them, the social justice movement didn't have ties to... Sorry. Freudian slip that I'm sure you wanted me to have.
Suicide.
The civil rights movement didn't have Marxist ties. Liberalism is a philosophy that's in many ways derived from Christianity and thus under the objective legal eye of God. And that's just not the philosophy for Marxism. If The civil rights movement was infiltrated by Marxists.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I have to interject here. I never said the civil rights movement was infiltrated by Marxists. I said that his ideas and the ideas of the civil rights movement were influenced by Marxist philosophy, which they were.
A point you made in your rebuttal to my video was that the abolitionist movement is part of the same trajectory as modern social justice, which just has no basis. The abolitionists were built out of the radical Republican agenda, which was a subset of the Republican Party that existed mostly in the upper tier of northern states, and their platforms were, in fact, trying to settle the Western frontier. They were very pro-capitalist.
This
very
is an obfuscation.
They,
what
they
I
were
said,
a remarkably imperialist party,
what I
but
said,
they were also
wait,
very pro-black.
This is a misinterpretation again. I did not say these were the same
You literally
movements.
said that in my video.
No, I said that it was a continuation of the same historical trend. Now, obviously, if you say something is the continuation of the same historical trend and then go back 150 years, you will find that, in fact, earlier groups do have some different values. But the underlying trend is the acknowledgement of racial inequality and the desire to address it through civic, cultural, and legal systems to amend these problems both in representation and in economic outcomes. In that respect, that movement, the abolitionist movement, is identical to what we have today in many respects. Obviously, 150 years have passed. You know, settling the Western frontier isn't a cavalier idea in modern social justice movements. That's what it's all about, really, equality. And you can trace that back to the Enlightenment and further beyond if you really wanted to.
I mean, realistically, the idea of racial equality and using legality to address racial problems, it's in many cultures. And if you can't draw a trajectory through the people themselves, you're not going to find a realistic continuity. It's a totally different demographic.
Wait, we're not talking about demographics.
Party,
wait, what if all this?
Intellectuals that are
we're not talking about demographic. You can't say that two like similar ideas are dissimilar because one of them was formulated by like Southern groups and the other by people in the Northwest. We're talking about common ideas here, like racial equality, which does exist in many cultures. I've never said this is exclusive to the West, but the abolitionist thinkers, you know, Frederick Douglass and so on, they wrote texts that were cited by Martin Luther King in the Civil Rights Movement, and Martin Luther King is currently the biggest, you know, figure that's cited when talking about historical civil rights in the modern Black Lives Matter movement. So there is a definite continuous ideological trend from A to B to C, and I feel like the only reason you would deny that fact is because you like what the abolitionists did, but you don't like what BLM activists do today, and you have to explain that disconnect by somehow separating these extremely well-connected movements.
Bro. How many books on American intellectual history have you read? Give me some titles. Give me some book titles to back up what you're saying.
We're going right to that. Wait, you need a citation on Frederick Douglass was cited by civil rights. Wait, you need a citation on Frederick Douglass was cited by civil rights thinkers? If you need a citation on that.
I will reference Battle Cry of Freedom to talk about the policies of the Radical Republican Party by James McPherson. Cynical Theory to look at the development of how
this is pseudo-intellectualism at its height right now. Why not address what I've said?
Movement in between, I'll quote The Rise and Fall of Communism.
If you've read so much, then why not?
Those are three different ideological trajectories.
Why not counter the argument then?
Because Confucian philosophy.
Keep it together, Vaush. Just a little longer.
You have the abolitionists who fought for racial equality for black people, to the civil rights movement, which fought for racial equality for black people, to the modern BLM movement, which fights for racial equality for black people, and every single successive group quotes and heavily cites the preceding groups. Why don't you believe these are part of the same movement? They're clearly fighting for the same thing.
Among historians, I have read nowhere that the modern abolitionist movement is a direct descendant of is a direct ancestor of the modern social justice movement.
I'm not responsible for what you've read.
And I have made my point. I'd like to ask you a question when you're done with yours.
Well, you have to answer mine. How are these
I've answered my question in the best way I can.
You've answered it by saying, I haven't read an answer to that. Like, you've answered my question by saying you don't know how to answer my question. I want a real answer. How are these not the same movement?
I've answered your question in the way I will.
Okay.
Okay.
So then I will follow through on that and say, since these are clearly part of a contiguous social trend in the United States, you know, from A to B to C, it seems odd to me that you would denounce social justice when it happened before, or sorry, when it happens now, but you would accept it when it happens before. It's a really common trend in conservatives. Well, they'll go like, oh, of course I support the civil rights movement. And then they'll do all the same attacks on the modern BLM movement that conservatives did against the civil rights movement 50 years ago, you know?
I have made my argument. You choose not to accept it. I'd like to ask you a question.
What was the argument? Can you repeat it for me?
No, I've already said it. The fans can go back and watch it.
What? But you didn't respond to it. You just said I haven't read in my books that that's
to briefly
true.
spend 5 seconds on this. I've said these movements are remarkably different demographics.
Wait, what do you mean
This group
demographics?
spoke to this group, which spoke to this group. Because of that, I think you are drawing a loose connection.
They're different
and
generations. Of course, they're different demographics. They're separated
I've
by
answered
like
the
50
question.
years. Wait,
The fuck is wrong with you?
do you not think a movement can be a part of the same contiguous like intellectual trend if
It is, but you
the
need to have proof
different
for it.
links in the chain are in different time periods?
You said that according to what you have found, that all areas of the world have the same productivity. And so the only way you can use that argument is racism.
Nobody's paid for their productivity.
Yeah, they are. And what you say about countries not getting capital, that's not true. This is the era of the highest capital availability in the history of man.
Do you think
by
Mexico
a factory
gets
of
the same
several.
capital investment as America?
U.S. has given 4 times the amount of capital to Africa than the Marshall Plan.
Do you think that America and Mexico have the same amount of startup capital available for people to start and develop businesses within their countries?
That's due to a shit ton of historic factors.
Yeah, but do you
America and
agree?
Mexico-
Wait.
Why
Yes.
are we paring
Wait.
down?
Oh wait, hold
historic
on.
factors
I
down to
agree. Wait,
oppression?
one thing at a time.
America has
I
different
agree.
geography. It has a different history. It has
Oh
a
my
different
God.
governing system.
Yes, I
And
agree.
so why
They're
is all of
different
that being compressed
countries.
down to racism?
I agree. Wait, hold on. Calm down. You're
You
very.
said that the
You're
only
very. Oh
definition
my
you could
God!
use
Please,
were differences
please.
in
I'm
productivity
begging
work
you.
is racism.
Calm.
Please explain.
I wasn't accusing you of being racist right here. I was
You
asking
literally
you.
said that.
Calm.
Go
Please
back into the
quit
video.
being
It's like the
defensive. Wait,
14-minute
please,
mark.
please.
Go ahead and look at it.
Oh my God,
Like,
please. I'm begging
there's no
you.
way-
I was
there's no
asking
way
you
could
a
not be proven
question.
wrong
I was
here.
asking you a yes/no question at the beginning before I answer. Please, this isn't a gotcha. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm trying to answer the
I'm sure
damn
you know about
question.
gotchas.
No, I don't. I don't gotcha
It's
people.
your entire fucking
They
channel.
walk directly into walls over and over again. I'm not trying to gotcha anyone, okay? I was asking, like, I just asked you, you acknowledge these countries have different capital available for business development, which, of course, obviously they do. No one would argue that. Yes, it's because of historical factors. I'm not denying that. We're not at the racist part yet, okay? So, the studies that I've seen on relative worker productivity have been pretty consistent. The idea that a Chinese
For your
worker...
sources.
I don't have any, but if you'd like me to send them to you later, I'd be happy to pull them up. I don't
Okay.
have all of them archived right now.
How many economics books have you read? Give me your top 3.
All of them.
Give me your top 3.
I can't. I enjoy all of them equally. So
Okay.
anyway, I hope you understand that behavior like that is very unbecoming in immediate conversation. It just makes it seem like you don't have an argument for the field, so you have to run back to the bleachers. Look,
Ha ha ha.
in
Projection.
China, factory or sweatshop workers, okay? From what I've read, and this seems to be pretty consistent, they produce as much or more than factory workers here in America. It's not like factories in China are like underproducing. It's like an industrial powerhouse of the planet, you know. But they still get paid way, way, way less. Now, you said that the world economy would be torn apart by the idea that wages aren't proportional to productivity, which is a very funny and very libertarian thing to say. It's like, if my 101 econ models aren't perfectly predictive of the most complicated system in all of human existence,
You have a
I
better
don't
theory
know.
of the world?
then the
Than
idea that
productivity?
then the idea that wages track perfectly onto productivity.
Yeah, do you have an idea? Can you have something you can shove into a computer simulation, wages come out?
Nobody
Wages as
can.
they've existed over the last 1,000 years.
Nobody can. Obviously,
I mean, sorry to
anarcho-syndicalism.
cut you off, but I have a final question. You, as Vaush, as an individual, what are policies that you think will lead us towards said anarchist utopia?
A couple of things. Taxes should be higher. Welfare state. Eliminate the bourgeois as a class. Ensure that industry is controlled collectively by the proletariat. Nationalize a few industries.
Almost every leftist country does end up autocratic.
Like which?
So why would giving the government more power mean it maintains being in the hands of the people?
Well, like what? To what am I being compared here?
You're being compared to every single. Tell me what you are. Tell me what country you'd like to copy across
Well, I'm a socialist.
time.
I don't want to copy any countries. I'm not even a statist.
If
but
you're
I don't
not
think there are
copying
any
countries, then you're shooting in the dark.
No, because we see policies that we know might work, and we can isolate them and take a
How do
look
we
at
know
them in
they might work?
application. Because
let me tell you a story.
wait.
That was a close call.
Because you can take a look at isolated policies where
Okay.
they function in a given city or in a given state or in a given district, and you can try to determine the effect they'll have in a broader. And if we end up being a bit experimental, so are the founding fathers. Okay, the apple has not fallen far from the cherry tree.
Also,
Okay.
got to tell you, I need to run at 9.
You said you have to leave in 7 minutes?
Then it's an integrated system.
Take a look at what the USSR was doing, and none of it had anything to do with the political. Why do you interrupt?
Real Inquisition.
Everything.
Why can't you say real fascism hasn't been tried by that logic?
Wait, no, hold on. Because when fascists say, I want X to happen, and then you look at Nazi Germany, that happened. When you take a look at what Marx said he wanted to happen, and then look at the USSR, none of it happened. Nothing. Literally nothing. There's no relationship. Again, you can do this No True Scotsman all you want, and I agree, okay? There are always thresholds, fine lines you can draw, but no, I don't own up to any of that. You take a look at Marx's theory, and then you take a look at the USSR, no relationship at all.
Let me break this down. Communism has been tried in many different forms.
No, it hasn't.
It's been tried with Bolivarian communism in South America.
No, it
It's
hasn't.
been tried under Castro, which was very independent from the Soviet Union.
For a person who claims to be an
It's been
intellectual,
tried
you sure
under
do
a
like going on like
Soviet
bumper sticker
version.
tangents.
It's been tried under a Marxist Trotskyite version. There's third world socialism, which took over
So,
a majority
wait, I
of
have to
Africa.
ask sincerely,
Nehruvian socialism in India.
given
Then
we have so
communist,
little time to
then
talk,
Maoism.
is there a
In each of
reason
those
why you're
trajectories,
filibustering?
They were reading Marx and then reading this text, treating it as a Bible, and then trying their own thing. In each different case,
Whatifalthist?
it failed.
I have to ask, are you
What point do
filibustering
just say that
because you have
Marx's
4
theories
minutes
are
left?
are impossible.
So,
If,
what if...
Let me just finish. Let me finish one.
No,
quick thing.
wait. We're 4 minutes till you have to go, which you announced 3 minutes ago, and you're filibustering with something that has nothing to do with anything I've talked about. This has been your response to every point you don't have an answer to. You run off to the next thing, or you say indignantly...
Yourself, bro.
You sound indignantly like, well, I've already answered that by not answering it. You're not engaging with the thing that I'm saying.
This is all stuff you've done in your past debates, bro. And you're
Past
just getting-
debates? Come on. You can't be mad about how this one is going, so pretend that you have some kind of history of my behavior to call upon. We talked privately before this convo. You were fine and civil. Now you're here filibustering. What's changed? Nothing but your nerves.
What changed the precedent you set that I followed?
Your nerves. Whatifalthist?
Okay.
So you
Maybe
have to
I'm
leave in
nervous,
3
and so would
minutes?
you
Should
be.
we talk now about which countries you think are communist, or is there some underlying position you would like to arrive at? What's wrong with social justice?
It doesn't work.
How not?
I don't have 3 minutes to answer.
It worked before. Worked during the abolitionist days, suffragist days, civil rights movement, second wave feminist
social
movement.
justice movement.
In a manner which you're not able to
The
describe,
social
define,
justice
or
movement
delineate.
you would need to break that down, but I don't have time, so take care.
All right. Have a
Have
good
a
one.
good day. Bye.
Holy shit, that was so much more insufferable than I thought it was going to be. Oh my god. I can't believe. Oh my fucking god. That dude has nothing to do right now, by the way. 0% chance that guy has this appointment that he has, which he informed me of 9 minutes ago, that on the hour he has something to do. No shot, no shot.
I think social justice is the truth.